Howdy y'all, it's Moss. I was gonna live stream this, but YouTube has to do some verification stuff, so I will not be able to live stream this. Um, but this is kind of like a Q&A, I guess is a good way to put it, but you guys aren't asking questions, I'm more just giving you answers to questions that I'm sure you have. But this is just gonna be a bit of information about my life, some health issues of mine, what's been going on, why I've been away, stuff like that. I have refilmed this several times. I did not write a script. I should have wrote a script. It wouldn't have helped if I wrote a script because I did not make this mask to accommodate my glasses. So I wouldn't be able to read the script anyways. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to make this quick, but I know it won't be. Because I ramble. But long story short, I have a few health conditions. I have something called ADHD. I'm sure you guys know what ADHD is. I also have a medical condition called psoriatic arthritis, which is psoriasis and arthritis. It's specifically psoriasis that causes arthritis. So I have those are two big things that I have. I have some other things. I have some undiagnosed things that we're still trying to figure out what it is. I do have some mental health issues. I do suffer with anxiety and depression, but that's not really what we're talking about today. We're mainly going to be focusing on my ADHD, my arthritis. I also recently got diagnosed with degenerative disc. That plays a big part as to why I've been away. And we're also just going to be talking about some stuff that's been going on in my life, just some events and stuff like that. If you hear a bird in the background or any tags or the dogs or anything like that, I do have 3 dogs. You guys have met them. We have the little black pug, that's Sissy June. We have the white West Highland, his name's Cooper. Cooper's the oldest. And then we have Mashed Potato, or Poe, and he's my dog. He's the taller, skinny, black dog. And then we also have a bird. She's a green cheek conure. Her name's Gidget. And we also have a bunny named Ralphie, but I highly doubt you'll be hearing Ralphie. He doesn't really make a lot of noise. But yeah, so I do have ADHD, and I'm not medicated. At one point, I was on a medication called Vyvanse. The medicine, I was actually on it as a weight loss medication. However, I was experiencing a nasty side effect where I was not sleeping, at all. And obviously, that's important. So they did take me off of that medication. And since then, I haven't been on any form of ADHD drug. So, I probably should be on a medicine, but I'm not. And I definitely struggle with some motivational issues. People with ADHD, there's a dopamine issue. So basically, our brains don't produce enough dopamine, and without enough dopamine, it's really hard to stay happy and stuff like that. And then, but we also experience these dopamine cycles where like quick, easy gratitude things. So something like wiping off a dirty counter, and then it's being sparkly clean. That's a quick dopamine release. And then you get a dopamine high from that, and then you get a cycle where, you want to go after the quick, easy dopamine release things because they quickly, it's instant gratification. It's instant pleasure and stuff like that. And so with long tasks such as, making a mask, that dopamine release is not very instant. And so that can make things hard to stay focused on that. Same with drawing. For me, I take a really long time to draw. And so when you take a long time to draw, it's really hard to just get that final product really quickly that helps release that dopamine. And so, I do have a bit of an issue of staying motivated because of that stuff, where I would rather play video games because video games, it's that instant gratification, or I'd rather watch a movie or watch YouTube or play with the dogs or something like that. And so that's part of why I haven't been as active. I have been drawing and I have been working on things, just not necessarily the things I should be working on. And I just haven't been posting, because I haven't really been working on the things that I should be working on. Like, I've been drawing, but I haven't been drawing like content for YouTube. I'm just busy. I help take care of my aunt. I live with my aunt and uncle. And my aunt has several health conditions. And those health conditions are very debilitating. And so I do help take care of her. I do a lot. And I just kind of always have to be able to walk away from things. And when it comes to drawing, that's really easy. Unfortunately, if I'm like hyper focused, that can kind of mess things up. If I'm like hyper focused in a, I'm really in a draw and I'm really getting in a groove, and then I have to get pulled away, it kind of shuts that down. And then I don't want to draw anymore. So, I do, sometimes I have that issue. Other times it's just my aunt needs my help a lot. So it's like up and down and up and down and up and down. And so I don't really have a lot of time, or I get into this mode where if I'm just constantly going to be up while I try and do something productive, I might as well just watch a YouTube video, because I'm getting like irritated that I keep getting pulled away from whatever I'm doing. But then also with things like the masks, it's really hard to work on a mask with a hot glue gun going. You know, I can't have a hot glue gun on and then leave it unattended. And sometimes when I go help my aunt, I think it's just going to be like a minute that I'll be gone, but then it ends up being 15 minutes. So then I'm always turning my hot glue gun off because I want to be safe. Because we have pets and stuff like that. Just because I have my hot glue gun in an area where it couldn't like catch fire or ruin something doesn't mean a dog's not going to accidentally pull it off, and then that could start a fire or an animal could get hurt. So I'm always turning my hot glue gun off. And so that, there's that. And a big part of it is just, I just don't want to sometimes, I just don't want to sit down and draw or work on a mask. And I do definitely struggle with some motivational issues for a variety of reasons. Some of it being my ADHD. I think some of it just being myself, just how I keep myself interested in things and stuff like that. Sometimes I feel like I bite off more than I can chew. And so that's part of it too. And I do try. It's just sometimes my best is a lot of other people's bare minimum, I guess, is a good way to explain it. And I'm still doing those things. I am still, drawing, and I still am working on the masks here and there and stuff like that. And I still have content ideas in mind. It's just I haven't really been doing it, or if I am, I'm not making a lot of progress with it. But also, I do have a few like physical health conditions. So I have something called psoriatic arthritis. Basically, to make a very long story short, I had psoriasis that went untreated for a very long time. And that psoriasis eventually turned into psoriatic arthritis. They have put me on a few different medications. Unfortunately, those medications have not been working the best. One of those medicines that I'm on is Skyrizi. Skyrizi has been helping. That's a shot that I take every 3 months. That has been helping. That's been helping a lot with the psoriasis. Not so much with the arthritis, but a lot with the physical symptoms of the psoriasis. So things like, at one point, like, it was basically balding because the scaling was so bad, and like my hairline was receding, and it was really embarrassing. Not that I was going bald. If I lose all my hair, I lose all my hair. I don't really care. But like having like giant chunks of like dandruff on my head is essentially what it looked like, but like way worse, because it's not dandruff. It's different. So it was like really scaly and red, and a lot of people like didn't know what it was. So I had people at one point think it was like contagious and stuff like that, and it's just really embarrassing. And so not having that being visible anymore is amazing. Love that. So the Skyrizi I do feel like is helping, but it's not helping as much as I was hoping. And then I am on a pain medication called Celebrex. I refuse to be put on opioids and narcotics. My family has a history of, we'll put it, making bad decisions. and they just have a history of like addiction and stuff like that. And I myself have never really tried anything in a negative mindset where I could potentially become addicted, because I'm so paranoid of becoming addicted to things. That being said, there was like one time where uh, we stopped drinking coffee, and I was like really reliant on coffee. And so then I started drinking Kool-Aid every single day, and I would get very upset if I could not get my Kool-Aid, and it had to be a very specific flavor and all of this stuff. And it was kind of an indicator to me that I do experience addictive habits. And so for that reason, I do not want to be put on anything like opioids, narcotics, muscle relaxers, things that really could, like, definitely will take my pain away, and help with the inflammation, but also I would probably become addicted to them. So I do stay away from that stuff. In fact, I've only ever been on one of those things once, and it wasn't even a very strong one. And that's because I got my tonsils removed. So I really stay away from those things. I don't really drink. I do occasionally, but very rarely. I don't smoke at all. I try to avoid the potentially addictive substances because my family just has a history of abusing those things, and I do not want to end up down that same path. Unfortunately, my father did pass away from a drug overdose, and the last thing I'd ever want to do is put my family through the pain that I had to experience with my dad passing, over me like passing from drugs and stuff like that. I don't want to put somebody through that. So that being said, there is only so many pain medications that can help manage my pain and inflammation. Because most of them are opioids and narcotics, and so there's very few that aren't. And the medications that aren't like opioids and narcotics, or that are like non-addictive or non-habit forming, those ones you shouldn't take like long term, or like can be damaging, or you can't mix with so many other medications and a whole bunch of other stuff. Currently, I'm on something called Celebrex. At one point, the Celebrex was working really well, and then the Celebrex has slowly over time stopped working as well, which is unfortunate. The Celebrex did also give me GERD because I was taking it twice a day, every day, for a very long time. I've been taking it for a hot minute now, and taking that medication for as long as that is definitely going to give you GERD. So like basically I get really bad acid reflux is an easy way to describe it. And I have to take a medicine because I get really bad acid reflux. But then also because I'm on Celebrex, I can't take things like ibuprofen. I can take Tylenol, but I can't take ibuprofen because if I take ibuprofen, then I definitely could get an ulcer. And I'm at like way higher of a risk for stuff like that. And it just like one day stopped working. So I don't take it every day anymore. Instead, I take it pretty much if my pain is really bad, then I take it. And it's not really a pain management medication. It's more that it helps minimize inflammation. And because it's minimizing the inflammation, there's not as much pain being created because the inflammation isn't there, which is the thing causing the pain in the first place, if that makes sense. So it's been a bit of a struggle in that department. Just finding something that helps, especially long term. Also, I've been diagnosed with something called degenerative disc. A lot of people get diagnosed with that at some point in their life, usually when they're in their like 40s or so. So that's not like the biggest surprise, but it still sucks, especially because I am 22. I'll be 23 this year, but I'm currently 22. And they described it as a mechanical issue specifically, and because like when they were describing it to me, I was like, oh, well, so then at least it's not degenerative disc. I was really worried that that's what it was going to be, and they were like, well, no, it is. They're like, it is degenerative disc, but it's being caused by this specifically. It's not like a hereditary reason from what they were explaining. But essentially, it's like a mechanical issue. So your spine is. I was gonna like grab something to like kind of physically show you guys. I have a pipe cleaner here. So imagine this is your spine, okay? And let's say you're bending backwards, okay? So this is the front of you, this is the back of you, and you're bending backwards. Now, normally when you bend your vertebrae, this isn't the best example, but your vertebrae is rolling into each other, so it's a nice, smooth motion. And for most of my spine, for pretty much my upper spine, that's exactly what's happening. It's that nice, smooth motion. However, for the lower vertebrae, like the last two vertebrae, right before my coccyx, it is not that nice, smooth, rolling motion. Instead, think of it more like a hinge. Instead of it rolling into each other, it's snapping into each other. So it's more of a sharp, click, and it's not meant to do it that way. And so then things like bone and stuff like that is colliding in a way that it's not meant to collide in. It's also doing things like the holes that are like the areas that are in your spine that allow things like nerves to pass through them, that those like tubes, if you will, are getting like narrowed from how my spine is moving, how it's like hinging and stuff, which is also not desirable. It causes a lot of like leg discomfort, I guess is a good word. It's not really pain. Like, it's just annoying, I guess is the best way to put it. Like, it keeps me up a lot. It prevents me from falling asleep. It wakes me up really early in the morning. The back is pain. Like, the back is just pure pain. And, like, when I went to the doctor, I didn't even realize, I knew I had back pain, and I would experience it and stuff like that, but for, like, my day-to-day pain, like, my back was my least concern, except, like, there's a spot in my upper back that really bothers me. So, like, outside of that, I was like, my back doesn't really bother me. But I had never had somebody put, like, direct pressure on that spot of my back. And it's something about me. I would stand up and show you, but I don't want to put my body on the internet like that. At least not right now. But so I like, I joke that I'm built like a baked bean. I know that's probably a really weird thing to say. But to put it lightly, I have a very big butt, and I also I'll bring back this. So here's like my upper back, okay? It's curved, okay? My upper back, here's like my neck or whatever, my upper back curves. And then how somebody's spine would normally like gradually curve like this and then go into their butt or whatever. Mine kind of, that lower back where it's like almost flat there, that doesn't exist for me. It's more like I curve like this, and then I just curve out, and I'm like this. So this is kind of what I'm built like, if that makes sense. And then I'm also like fat, So, I joke that I look like a baked bean. Like, I look like a kidney bean, like a fat kidney bean, and and so part of that is because of how I stand. I didn't realize this, but I stand with like my hips forward. I didn't realize that. Until like I went to physical therapy, and physical therapy was like, well, this is how you walk and this is how you stand. And that's also putting more pressure on my spine in that area. But because I'm kind of built like that, and people don't really touch, like, I don't even like hugs, so nobody's touching my lower back. And I don't get like massages or anything like that. That's expensive, and too much people touching me. Too much. So that being said, not a lot of stuff like touches my lower back, and I do need a lot of lower back support. Like, I always like, when I like sit and like play video games, or if I'm drawing or something like that, I like always have a pillow pressed against my lower back, and I never really thought much of it. But when I went to the doctor, and I was like, yeah, like, I'm really concerned that I like suddenly developed like restless leg syndrome or something. Like, my legs, like, I'm constantly moving them. But like, it doesn't feel better if I am moving them. It's just like, I feel like I have to move them. And the way I was describing it to her, she's like, I think you either have a pinched nerve or you have degenerative disc. She's like, but I think it's your lower back that's the issue. I was like, no, my lower back doesn't really bother me. And she basically was like, yes, it does. And then pressed on my lower back. And ever since then, I don't know if it's now I'm aware if like, I'm aware that I have back pain, or maybe it's just that pain has gotten worse, or maybe that did something, or maybe I'm just delusional. I don't know. But that pain has definitely gone from maybe a 2 on a day-to-day, which I should clarify. Your day-to-day pain should be 0. That is what's normal. If your pain every single day is higher than 0, please see a doctor, because you could have a chronic pain issue. I have things like psoriatic arthritis. And then like the degenerative disc. And so what was like a pain, maybe a 2 max for my back, has since gone all the way up to a 7 at one point. There was a day where I was just crying all day. I don't like crying in front of people. There was a day I even cried in front of coworkers at work because it just hurt so bad. So there are definitely days where my back is really, it's just becoming a lot. It's starting to become a lot to deal with. My insurance has not been very helpful in me getting like treatment over it and stuff like that. I was able to do some physical therapy, which has helped. I haven't really been keeping up on the tasks that they gave me, so I know that's part of the reason why my pain has gotten worse. But it's still like it sucks, and it makes it hard to do things like just sit down. And I like to work at my desk when it comes to drawing, and I have to work at my desk when it comes to like the masks and stuff like that, and I just haven't really been able to do that. Currently, I've probably been sat here I'd say like 40 minutes now trying to film this, and it's it's starting to bother me. I'll tell you that. Um, but yeah, and there's just, and like me helping my aunt, and just the getting up and down with that, and helping her get out of bed and stuff like that has been putting a lot of pressure on my back. And it's just a lot, and it's new. Um, and I know that eventually I'll get used to it, or I'll figure it out, you know. But for right now, it is a new problem, and I'm struggling to figure out how to handle it. So just bear with me. At some point, hopefully, the videos will be back to our regular scheduled program. But right now, it's gonna take a minute because I just haven't yet gotten used to the pain. And the pain also is making that whole dopamine thing a lot harder. So it is really like pushing that whole, I just want to do things I want to do, and I don't want to do things that make me feel like I'm doing like a job or something. And I want to do things what I want to do when I want to do them. So it's definitely all like combining together to make a very unproductive person. um, but so that's, enough about me yapping. Um, we've also, been experiencing some power issues. And, I have work and stuff like that. I don't work very often, but I do have work. And just helping take care of the dogs. And then, sometimes we're gone on the weekends. So then that plays a part of things. But also, unfortunately, my aunt currently is in the hospital. She has, to keep things kind of private, she has an infection right now that she's battling. And hopefully she'll be home soon. It's been a lot on everyone. And I'm hi Poe. Poe is, hello puppies. Sissy, Sissy is my aunt's dog. Sissy is like glued to my aunt's hip. She is with my aunt every day, all day. And she's been really struggling. My uncle has not been home like at all since my aunt went to the hospital. Yesterday I actually had to leave work early because my aunt went to the hospital. Which was really scary to get like a phone call from my aunt being like, hey, I have to go to the hospital. It really freaked me out. But it's, we're getting used to it. And I thought maybe because she wouldn't be home that maybe there's a chance I could be more productive. But outside of the power being off really put in a damper on things. The house doesn't feel the same. And it's making it hard. It's making it really hard to even want to do anything. Just not having my aunt here. And it's just, I don't want to, I don't want to dive too deep into the personal of it. But I mean, she's really sick. So it's scary, And my aunt, she's like a parent figure to me. So it's very scary. It's very, very scary. What's going on, and it is making things harder. Like you said, hopefully she will be home soon. I'm hoping she's home by the end of the week. I don't think that'll happen. But I'm hoping. We don't really know what the outcome's going to be. We don't know how involved the doctors are going to be and how invasive things are going to be or anything like that. We don't really know yet. She's on a lot of medicine right now, so they're trying to fix the problem, but they don't really know how they're going to fix the problem, if that makes sense. But it's been a lot. But yeah, so it's that's why I've been away. I've been away for personal reasons, my health, my aunt's health, motivational issues, and I haven't been really feeling it. At some point, I do plan on continuing with uploads. I cannot say when that's going to be. Most of the stuff is probably going to be in the background for right now. If I do post, it'll probably be just a little 30-second clip here and there of me showing you a video game I'm playing or the dogs or maybe if I'm working on something. I do have 2 masks that I have to get done. I have the mask for the raffle winner. I have to get that done and shipped out, and then I have a commission moth mask that I also have to finish and get shipped out, which that one's almost done. I have just a little bit more to do on it and it'll be done. But yeah, so sorry for this long video. I know it was very informal. Please don't feel sorry for me, or anything like that. This video isn't meant to gain pity. I just wanted to be very honest with you guys. But yeah, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment them. If relating to this or not relating. If you guys have ideas for content that you want to see, do you guys like video games? If you like video games, I could probably post some video game stuff. I play games like Raft, Minecraft, Grounded. I play horror games too, like The Forest, Sons of the Forest, Phasmophobia, whole bunch of stuff. So if there's something you guys, video game wise, are interested in, please let me know. If you guys want to see more content of the animals, let me know. Yeah, if there's anything you guys want to see, if just more sit down talking videos, that's stuff that I could probably do. Any questions that you guys have, any question, it could literally be things like, what do you do for a living? What's your favorite color? Or like I said, things revolving around this topic. Doesn't matter. If you have any ideas for more milestone stuff, let me know. I do still plan on doing the drawing drawing subscribers profile pictures. So yeah, I do have a little bit of a list that I have. It'll probably be a short series. I know I have 340 subscribers right now, but I do not know who all of those subscribers are. And I do not know who also wants to be included in that list. And I don't want to include somebody if they don't want to be included. um, so, so it's, if you do want to be included in that, please comment down below. Let me know. And yeah, once again, sorry for this really long video. Yeah, but bye, y'all. Stay safe out there, and I hope you have a good one. Bye bye.